Hello, welcome to our online service for this week, which we'll post on May 31st, 2020. Our agenda for today, we'll have ringing of the kancho, followed by chanting of Juni Rai. Then we'll have the reading of the Golden Chain by the Dharma School 7th and 8th grade class. We'll have a Dharma message from Reverend Mukojima, followed by a presentation from the Mountain View Buddhist Temple Choir of Ondokusan I, and then we will have closing remarks. Thank you. I am a link in Buddha's golden chain of love that stretches around the world.
I must keep my link bright and strong.
I will try to be kind and gentle to every living thing and protect all who are weaker than myself.
I will try to think pure and beautiful thoughts.
Speak pure and beautiful words and do pure and beautiful deeds.
Knowing that my actions will result in not only my happiness or unhappiness,
but also the happiness or unhappiness of others as well.
May every link in the Buddha's golden chain of love be bright and strong.
And we all attain perfect peace.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namaste.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namanda Butsu 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 Namanda Butsu. All foolish beings, whether good or evil, on hearing and entrusting to Amida Buddha's universal vow, are praised by the Buddha as people of vast and excellent understanding. Such a person is called a pure white lotus. Namanda Butsu Namanda Butsu Namanda Butsu Namanda Butsu Namanda Butsu Namanda Butsu. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Mountain View Buddhist Temple's online service. I trust everyone is doing well. Although it's already been 2 months since we began sheltering in place, it might take a little more time to get back to normal. But I want to believe that we are almost there. So let's all continue to take every precaution not to catch the virus so that we can get through this hardship together by being calm and mindful, okay? All right, let me begin by asking you a question. As you can see, the image of Amida Buddha is enshrined in the main altar inside our onajin. And the Amida Buddha is standing on a dais of a flower, which is a symbol of Buddhism. Do you know what kind of flower Amida Buddha stands on? Yes, it is a lotus. It may look like an artichoke, but it is a lotus flower. The lotus is symbolic both in general Buddhism and for specific Buddhist groups. That's why in many statues or portraits, the Buddha and the Bodhisattva are depicted standing or seated on a dais in the shape of a lotus. A couple of years ago, somebody in a Sangha asked me, "Sensei, what brand of car does Buddha like?" It was a surprising question, which I couldn't answer, but he could. He said, "The Buddha likes the Lotus Europa." I thought about it for a second, but the answer made sense because when I was a little, I had some Lotus Europa toy cars, so I understood his joke. But I had never associated Buddha with a car before, so his joke was really good. This reminds me of something that happened at the first temple I was assigned to here in the US, which was the Seabrook Buddhist Temple in New Jersey. I was only there for a year. New Jersey is nicknamed the Garden State, and through its two names, its cities and towns are embraced by rich green forests. Seabrook is a rural community, and there is a beautiful Japanese garden behind that temple. I really enjoyed the cherry blossoms in the springtime and the brilliant leaves in autumn. In the middle of the garden, there is a large pond with beautiful lotuses rising out of it. It's such a luxurious space. Shortly after I had arrived, one member told me that there used to be many lanterns and statues of Buddha placed around the pond. But one night, some neighborhood vandals destroyed part of the fence, entered the garden, and threw some of the statues into the pond. As soon as I learned this, I really wanted to restore the garden to its former state. A few days later, about 10 members came to the temple to help me recover the items from the pond. With the use of the pump, the water was drained from the pond. To my surprise, the mud at the bottom of the pond was deeper than I had imagined. So we had quite a challenge. After 2 hard days, we somehow found and removed all the lanterns and the statues of the Buddha. Because of the thought of the efforts and the hard works of these devoted members, the Seabrooke Sangha was able to enjoy that beautifully restored Japanese garden. It happened a long time ago, but this is still a very nice memory for me. When we were searching the pond while it was drained of water, I could see that the place from which the lotus grew was even deeper and murkier than I had imagined. Everyone knows that the lotus grows in mud. I've mentioned this in my Dharma talks many times. But when I actually saw the murky bottom of the pond, I was struck by the magnificence of the lotus flower to be able to rise from such a muddy environment. It's amazing. The lotus flower appears in many Buddhist scriptures. Above all, it is described in the Contemplation Sutra, which is one of the most important works in Jodo Shinshu. In this sutra, Shakyamuni Buddha said, "Know that those who are mindful of the Buddha or recite the Nembutsu are like a pure white lotus flower among people. Bodhisattvas, Avalokitesvara, and the Master Mahaprabhuta will become their good friends. They will sit in the place of enlightenment and be born in the Pure Land of Amida Buddha, the house of all Buddhas." And in the opening meditation, I shared with you a saying from our founder, Shinran Shonin, about the lotus flower in his writing, Shoshinge. He says, "All foolish beings, whether good or evil, on hearing and entrusting to Amida Buddha's universal vow, are praised by the Buddha as people of vast and excellent understanding. Such a person is called a pure white lotus." This is how Shakyamuni Buddha and Shinran praise the Nembutsu follower who embraces the primal vow of Amida Buddha as a pure white lotus, though living in such mud. Do you know why lotus symbolizes Buddhism? Actually, the lotus will not thrive in a clear stream. It must be rooted in stagnant mud. But even though it grows in the mud, the lotus flower blooms beautifully above the mud. Remarkably, the blossom is not stained by a single speck of mud. Even though rooted in mud, the flower itself blooms beautifully on a tall stalk, untouched by mud. It's amazing, isn't it? In Buddhism, the mud represents our blend of passions, of greed, anger, love, hatred, jealousy, and so on. So seeing such a noble pose encourages those of us covered with the mud of blind passions to seek the way to enlightenment. That's why Buddhists apply significance to the lotus, and why we have made this precious flower a Buddhist symbol. Okay? Shakyamuni Buddha said, humans live in the world of defilement, filled with the mud of selfishness and attachment. Shinran Shonin also said, our desires are countless, and anger, wrath, jealousy, and envy are overwhelming, arising without pause. To the very last moment of life, they do not cease, nor disappear, nor exhaust themselves. On hearing these words, there are some people who justify their married state and neglect their own life, as if to say, because we are all foolish beings full of blind passions, it doesn't make any difference whatever our behavior is. I understand what they mean, but unfortunately, their idea is like lotus flowers covered with mud. On the other hand, there are some who might think we must not be greedy or angry. If we cannot remove our blind passions, we will never attain enlightenment. Their idea is very noble and is accepted by many Buddhist schools. But unfortunately, their belief is that the lotus flower can only bloom in a clear stream. Okay? You know, if we were to remove our desire and craving, we couldn't survive even for one day. Nobody can live though rooted in mud. Shinran never said, you must give up your self-centered passions. On the contrary, he said, you should accept your polluted mind just as it is, because we cannot eliminate it. Shinran teaches us a way to live, even with the burden of our blind passions. There are two aspects of thinking to attain enlightenment. They are the way of elimination and the way of transformation. The greedy or angry mind is destructive. So in order to attain enlightenment, we have to remove or give up all our blind passions, which are the cause of our suffering. This way of thinking is the way of elimination. Okay? And this idea is accepted by many Buddhist schools. The way of transformation goes beyond the idea of eliminating blind passions. It expresses the relationship between the lotus flower and the mud very well. When we see the lotus, what impresses us is that, though rooted in mud, the lotus flower blooms beautifully and elegantly on a tall stalk without being touched by mud, right? This is what everyone knows. But there is one more reason why we are impressed by the lotus. It is that when we look very closely at its beautiful flower, we fully realize that the mud is essential for its existence. It's amazing, isn't it? As I told you, it cannot bloom in clear spring water. It's an amazing world in which the lotus blooms beautifully because its roots are in the mud. Okay? With this perfect example, we are able to fully understand that the mud which should be removed, becomes the mud which we must not remove. In other words, the way of transformation tells us that we don't have to rid ourselves of our blind passions to attain Buddhahood. We should recognize that we are not able to attain Buddhahood by ourselves because our thoughts are in the mud of selfishness and attachment. Amida Buddha knows us very well. That's why Amida Buddha established the primal vow, giving us the Nembutsu so that we can all be born in the Pure Land as Buddha. In other words, it is because we are stuck in the mud that we are able to encounter Amida Buddha's primal vow. Okay? Because of the mud, which is our delusional mind, Amida Buddha will always be with us with his wisdom and compassion to lead us to the way of enlightenment. So it's not necessary for us to remove the mud of our selfish nature. This concept goes beyond the way of elimination and is the very essence of the Jodo Shinshu Shinran devoted his life to sharing. Okay? Shinran is calling to us in this writing Shoshinge as follows. People in an ocean of beings in an evil age of 5 defilements, simply entrust yourselves to the Tathagata's words of the truth. Although we live in the world polluted with blind passions, if we really wish to make our flower bloom or attain enlightenment in this mud, we must sincerely embrace the Nembutsu teaching and entrust completely and ourselves completely to the primal vow of Amida Buddha. Of course, as Nembutsu followers, we are just everyday people or foolish beings who are continually confused our own selfish motivations. However, we have a deep awareness, true awareness, and a deep reflection that we are standing in deep mud. Therefore, we are neither drowned in the mud, nor are we stained by it. Okay? Although our thoughts may be muddied, we awake and rejoice in the fact that Amida Buddha's great compassion can take root in our mind precisely because of this mud. This is the way of transformation taught by Shinran. We shouldn't be dismissive, saying, oh well, this is the world of defilements. As a positive action for our imperfect selves and our polluted world, it's most important as Nembutsu followers to choose the way of life, which never forgets our innate modesty and always extend our love, respect, loving kindness, and respect our gratitude to others. Okay? Although we live in mud, when we completely entrust ourselves to the primal vow of Amida Buddha and truly rejoice at his great compassion, unconditional compassion, we are exactly like the pure white lotus, which Shakyamuni Buddha and Shinran admired. So I sincerely hope each one of us can envision ourselves as a pure white lotus and live a fruitful life with the deepest feelings of gratitude by reciting the Nembutsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Okay? Again, thank you very much, everyone, for listening to my Dharma talk this morning. Please continue to stay safe and healthy. Have a nice day. Thank you. Please join me in Gassho. All foolish beings, whether good or evil, on hearing and entrusting to Amida Buddha's universal vow are praised by the Buddha as people of vast and excellent understanding. Such a person is called a pure white lotus. Namanda, Butz 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 Namanda, Butz.
Thank you, Sensei, for your Dharma message today. I'd like to acknowledge to everybody watching that, it's a very difficult week this past week with all the chaos and confusion that's going on, especially around the United States, related to the events that have caused protests and riots. I think Sensei's Dharma message about how in Seabrook, our friends, when he was there, took a senseless act of vandalism, and instead of dwelling on the people that caused it, they took their own action, the control that they could take of themselves, to then recover by just taking the next logical steps, which were to do what they could do to repair and fix what they could control. I think it's a good reminder to all of us that during these times, we can never know what is truly in the minds of other people, but we should always be mindful and think about what's in our own minds and what our own actions are, and do the best we can to follow what is right and what is guided to us on the Eightfold Path, so that we can help society and help the world around us become better as we become better ourselves. And always remember, we're never perfect. We always have our own human flaws. We're all mired in the mud. The mud not only is the root for a single lotus, but the same mud, it connects all the lotus that are together in the same swamp, in the same pond. And that is what the world is that we live in. So with those words, I'd like to thank everybody for your time today and your attention to our online service. We hope that these are meaningful and bring a little bit of relief and a chance for you to take your minds off of the problems that are around us between the COVID-19 pandemic and the current chaos that's affecting many cities and many locations around the U.S. Thank you again. Please stay safe and please stay calm.